There was someone who was sweeping the streets early morning and had a mobile in the hand, was speaking on the mobile on one side and sweeping the street. Now imagine this sight in India 15 years ago. Impossible. If we have brought in technology at that level, that's where innovation, that's where things have come right into people. For that being the case, obviously, when you create this from science to technology to commerce, you bring into all those parts, you can see that this competition, which is on the rise, cannot survive if we don't have a strong intellectual property system. So that's the first part. Very, very important. Something that, intellectual property rights in India has come live. That's point number one that I'd like to make. Point number two, the question is that yes, scientists will invent, they'll innovate. Industries would like to have them protected for commercial and economic reasons. Question is, who will help the industry do that? And very interesting, in the last 1 week, I was very strongly involved with the Patent Office. And the present Controller General, Mr. Kurian, has made a fantastic deviation from what has ever happened in this country. He changed the entire system of what is known as the patent agent exam. And I've had the privilege of being a part of that board with him. And the interesting part is that when you conducted this patent agent exam last week, there were several candidates who came from different law schools, from different other training centers, from different organizations. And you will be surprised that each, from certain institutions, 6 of them came in, exactly gave the same answer and the same wrong answer to a question. Consistent. What does it show? We were shaken up by this fact last week. It just means that our training in this particular part is not adequate, is not appropriate, is not exact. And therefore, if we start creating professionals in intellectual property rights in this country, in that way, we'll be doing an enormous disservice to this country. Therefore, I think one of the very important parts, apart from awareness, is to create professionals of the right cadre and the right quality. And I think we all have a major responsibility in that particular game. We cannot shy away from that responsibility. Be it industry, be it universities, be it, interestingly, in some cities, now there are coaching classes. I learnt it last week for training people for patent agent exam. And interestingly, some came from certain coaching classes. Complete wrong answers. Completely wrong answers. So I think that's the second point. Awareness on one side, creation of the right professionals on the second side. The third point, and that's the last point that I'd like to make, and that is, well, you have all these things, you have your patents, you have your copyright. The next part, do what with them? And unless those things are put into practice, and we have professionals learning how to exploit intellectual property rights for commercial gains, that's the third part of the value chain. And unless and until we create those people, it's this consonance of these three which will take our country to great heights. And I'm looking forward to the day when we all contribute, not singularly, but in what I would say in tandem, so that we create professionals of the highest caliber in this country. And last but not the least, what has happened in the last few years, that if you take the whole area of intellectual property rights, it's actually expanding, it's proliferating. The impact of this proliferation of intellectual property rights then goes into the socio-economic and political framework. And therefore, the impact of intellectual property rights is no more an intellectual activity. It is something which is transcending intellectual activity into reality, and therefore the political system will have to get the political system live. We will have to be live to the political realities of intellectual property rights. And I think it is this thing, when put into a box and shaken properly, that we'll get the right results out of it. Thank you.